Hey, Chris Manning here, Locked On Cavs, coming to you on Thursday, a little later in the day. That's on me, folks, but we're back. Talking Cavs Hawks, talking NBA General Manager survey and what they had to say. Specifically, I think about Evan Mobley, who's going to be a big focus of today's episode. That's all coming up today on Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We want to thank you for making Locked On Cavs your first listen every day. Remember, we are free and available on all platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Evan couldn't see this, but I almost hit the Locked On Buckeyes video thing. Shouts to JC.
I was wondering why there was like a dramatic pause there. It's just like he's kind of dragging out this intro here for everyone included. But how are you, man? How you doing?
I'm hydrated.
I am too. I'm having shouts to Shaquille O'Neal having a delicious rain. Shouts to Shaquille O'Neal for giving my brother free reigns, and I'll be sipping on these sugar-free, caffeine-loaded bad boys for the next few days. For those listening, this will be my last podcast for a couple of days. I'm taking a little Liz Lemon style vacation in the beautiful Midwest town of Milwaukee, going to a friend's wedding. Gonna have some cheese curds, some good beer. Go watch a championship level team, the Brewers and the Bucks. It's a fun joke. My friend is getting married on Saturday, and I'm like, "You're well aware the Brewers are playing, right?" And he's just like, "Yeah." I've gotten several texts from family members saying like, "You're well aware the Brewers are playing, right?" And then one of the groomsmen in his wedding is in our group chat. He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to need you to reschedule. This could be a World Series year, and I cannot miss a single moment of that." It's actually a friend of the pod, Ty Windish. So there you go, folks.
Small little world here.
Small little world.
Small little world. Anyway, we're going to talk about Cavs Hawks. We're going to talk about Cavs Hawks with a focus on Evan Mobley, and we're going to talk about the GM survey. Evan, let's start with Cavs Hawks. Second of a back-to-back for the Cavs in the preseason. Beat Atlanta 99-96. No Trae Young, no Clint Capella for Atlanta. They had guys like DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, Kevin Huerter, etc. Go check out Locked On Hawks, my favorite show other than ours in the network if you want more on them. But I thought overall kind of a much more coherent performance. Still some stuff you can see the Cavs working out. Still stuff you can see the Cavs kind of needing to get comfortable with what they're doing. But I would say it was more composed from start to finish than volume one of the preseason.
Yeah, I think it also helps that while Cam Reddish was bombs away from three like the Bulls were, Cam Reddish wasn't making all those threes. I have to take this with a grain of salt as well because there was no Trae Young in this game. I think Trae Young really would have ripped the throat out of the Cavs from the perimeter at times. I know he can't foul hunt as much, but you have to respect Trae Young was a shooter. But yeah, this is a pretty good performance for Cleveland. Our subject matter of today, Monstrous Mobley himself, we will talk about in a little bit the younger tower in Tower City. I don't know who really gets credit for the nickname first. It's either us or Angel Gray because Angel is pushing it too. But yeah, it was a fun game overall. Like, I have some takeaways, some hot takes, if you will. We can talk about those from the game. But, like, overall, it was a fun game. Isaac Okoro still really good on defense. I wouldn't take too much from his 5 fouls. I think he cleaned it up during the regular season, or the Cavs wouldn't let him play through fouls so much. But seeing Isaac, or Ice, as I said, ice the Hawks in his hometown was a pretty neat thing to see. So it was a fun game. Good tone setter. Hopefully the Cavs continue to play well and they take on Indiana on Friday.
Yeah, so give me some of your takes from this game. I mean, whether it's a positive, a negative, like what actually for you was like, this is a thing that I'm intrigued by in this game.
Colin Sexton, once again, is having a rough preseason. Turnover wise, it's pretty brutal. Like JB has made it clear. I mean, this is just coach speak. It's a no duck kind of thing. Like the team has to focus on Turnovers or lack thereof, the Cavs have been kind of sloppy handling the ball, playing at this faster pace that JB wants to play at. Colin included. Colin had a couple just like ugly looks early in the first quarter, like ugh, and then they pulled him for Ricky Rubio, and the offense kind of balanced back out a little bit. I think Rubio really being the bomb here helps a lot, but Sexton's having a rough preseason to start things. He's kind of taking some ill-advised shots, some ill-advised looks. He's kind of sloppy handling the ball. Yeah, he'll still get you that statistical output that you're looking for, but I think he'll tone it up and clean it up and tighten things up before the regular season starts. Again, this is the preseason. You can't bake all your takes on it, but it's just interesting to watch. Two of the shorter players in Cleveland sports both being kind of mediocre when they're contract extension eligible, both Baker Mayfield and Colin Sexton. I'm trying to get Chris to pay attention to me. And
I'm sorry. I've got a text about the various NBA players that have been arrested, and
we should talk.
when my
Let's
dad.
just,
No, let's
my
not
dad.
talk about that. But like
Let's just
when my
say
dad texts me about it, it's like always like an NBA thing that I know has like kind of cracked like our little bubble.
Milt Palicio, Sebastian Telfair, Darius Miles, Jamario Moon, Shannon Brown, former charge assistant Melvin Ellie, and Cleveland's own Ruben Patterson were arrested on defrauding the NBA's health and welfare benefit plan. Not a good look, guys. But back to this. Other than that, like Evan Mobley's the real freaking deal. Like I know I talk about statistical output. Like you can't. Yeah, you could say Mobley's just been kind of meh. If you just look at his box score, you can't be a box score reader here. You have to actually watch him play. Like his switchability on defense is awesome. I think that emphatic dunk he had last night was awesome. We'll talk about how NBA GMs feel about him. Like I'm encouraged by the fact that he was shooting 3-pointers last night. He didn't make any of them, but that's still encouraging because that was a concern of mine of him coming out of USC. It's like how far along is he in terms of his shot? Like him taking those shots are encouraging. I also just kind of thought it was interesting that JB's first two off the bench were Markkanen and Rubio, and he put Markkanen and Mobley together. Like, I think that tandem makes a lot of sense. If you put Markkanen at the 5, you put Mobley at the 5, and vice versa. You put the other one at the 4. Like, I think that's fun. I also think a 3-guard set of Garland, Sexton, and Rubio is interesting. Like, you go small, and then you had 2 bigs on the interior like that, or maybe you go completely small and put Okoro at the 5 and or 4, I should say, and put Mobley at the 5 or something, and then or whoever at the 5 you want, maybe marking in from some extra spacing as well. Like there's some interesting wrinkles and options this Cavs team has, and encouraged that JB Bickerstaff is exploring this during the preseason, like giving us just some interesting looks and takes.
Yeah, I think that's all right. I think Sexton just seems like he's like pressing a little bit. I think it's perhaps like a product of just the tempo. I mean, he's a guy that's gonna just go, and like I think like it's even though he's been more effective, like I think in the past when he's got to use his speed in like a burst as opposed to like a sustained effort kind of thing. Like I every time he's cut and caught a pass off of a cut in the preseason, like it's resulted in something good, and like that to me is like a fun little kind of wrinkle we might be seeing here. I mean, I think his passing also just has been the loose thing for me. I mean, he had 3 turnovers like very early in this one. Just needs to tighten that up a little bit. I also just think Darius to just kind of like round out the sex land of it all, like wasn't at his best either in this one. I mean, I got my eyes popped out of my head a little bit when he did the step back that came along too, but like that's the footwork you want for like a deep step back 3. He also just seems like he's kind of getting his legs under him a little bit and whatnot. So
I mean, encouraging to see Darius take a really deep 3-pointer. Like it was in the first quarter when he took him. It's like, okay, we're playing with a little spice here. It's with him and Markkanen on the floor together. Like they were kind of trading perimeter shots. Like you're like, okay,
yeah,
this is the approach I kind of want them. I want him to be aggressive when he has the ball. And then there's times where I was frustrated, like him and Colin were passing up wide open threes. Isaac too, but
they need to take some more of those. I mean, Texas, they did take 14 combined, so like there is something to like they did take a lot of them, and like for Garland that was like 2/3 of his shot attempts. You know what I mean? But is what it is. The other thing is like I think it's just a night where like if the Cavs are going to have a successful year based on the back of their young guards plus Rubio is like their kind of ball handling creation unit, like 15 turnovers between those 4 guys, 7 for Sexton, 4 for DG, 4 for Rubio. When like Mobley was the only other player to have more than 1 is just kind of like a tricky proposition. But again, it's preseason. That stuff I don't think is necessarily predictive of where we're headed here. I mean, but we'll kind of see. But Evan, we got to take a little bit of a break.
We do.
We're going to pay some bills, and you're going to tell everyone about our friends at Sweatblock.
That is true. I'm actually taking a flight tonight, and I get real nervous when I fly, but I'm not too worried about sweating through my clothes because I'm wearing some Sweat Block right now. It is doctor created and doctor recommended. It works up for 7 days per use. It has a dry shirt guarantee. I guarantee it myself. My undershirt under my hoodie is bone dry right now. My apartment's a little warm, so I'm not even sweating doing this podcast. Chris, did you know Sweat Block is featured and tested on the Rachel Ray Show by firefighters?
I did. It was the factoid that stuck in my head the most.
Yeah, I think they actually set them on fire and they didn't even drop an ounce of sweat. I mean, when they were on just burning up. And then, Sweatblock is a bestseller on Amazon for the past 10 years. They have over 13,000 reviews and they are currently #1, like this podcast, in Amazon antiperspirant category. They're manufactured in the USA, and you can wear what you want and it is your little secret of confidence. And this is a must-have for everyone's toiletry bag, whether it's for a big presentation or a hot date. Everyone can benefit. So if you're interested, you can get it today for 20% off at sweatblock.com if promo code locked on, or at Amazon or CVS.
Okay, we are back. Evan, let's talk about Evan Mobley.
Let's do it.
You're sweat blocked up.
I'm just so excited to talk about the most famous Evan in Cleveland being the second most famous.
I wonder if there is.
Shout out to the guy at the Clifton Cleaners who recognized me from being a co-host of Locked On Cavs because he read my slip. He's like, "Do you host Locked On Cavs?" I'm just like, "And do you do that write down Euclid thing?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, hey man, what's up?" He's like, "Yeah, big fan." And he hands me my dry cleaning, runs into the back. I'm like, "Yeah, thanks, man, no problem."
That's how I act if I ever meet anyone that I haven't seen.
I get really flustered. I was just like, "Yeah, thanks." Well, I also get nervous because I'm like, how do you feel about my Colin Sexton takes? Is this gonna get ugly in public? Are you actually Hiram Boyd in disguise?
That would be
just Scooby-Doo pulls off his mask. He's and just has a cigar cutter and puts my finger inside it. Anywho, Evan Mobley, the league is high on him. I'm high on him.
Well, we'll do the GM thing. I think it is him, but I think this game was really interesting. Again, as you mentioned before, took 3 threes, had 2 assists, 12 rebounds. I like that the Cavs are having him do some of the rebounding and then sometimes bringing up the ball. I think that's kind of a fun little use of him and not just having him kind of run up the floor and letting Jarrett kind of handle that. Blocking shots, had a clutch dunk in this game. I do like that. I know the highlight from this game for a lot of people was the fact that Allen got I'm talking regardless of team, Allen, when Allen got yammed on by Collins. I gotta say, I kind of like that both of these guys are gonna make things really annoying for people inside. Jared Allen, I don't think gives 2 craps if he got dunked on like that. He had another block in this game that was just
they combined for 5 blocks. The interior is going to be really hard for opposing teams to score on this year. I think Mobley's going to have his issues, but I think Allen is going to be such a great teacher for him because Mobley had 4 fouls in this game. Jared Allen's greatest skill is being able to block shots and protect the rim without fouling. And that's such an invaluable skill set to have. And if you could teach that to a rookie early on, the interior presence for Cleveland is going to be phenomenal in a year or 2.
I want to see what the percentage is after I think 10 games or so we should of the regular season. Let's do a little. I think we should earmark this and do a segment on how are they actually defending at the rim? What do the numbers tell us about how teams are shooting at them against them in their lineups or on the floor? I think that kind of dive that we can do via our friends at Cleveland Glass will just be kind of, I think, a worthwhile thing for us to kind of do in a statistical kind of analysis of what they're doing there. But I think he's been fun. I think it's interesting that he's going to start. I think I'd like to see him play with Markkanen a little bit more consistently, or with Love. One of the two I think would be good. Maybe Love, just because Love can unlock some of the passing stuff. The other thing I will say is that the one thing that I find that was a positive from a old school kind of offense perspective is he had a play in this game where he, unlike in the first one, and unlike what Markkanen does, when Markkanen ever posts up against a guard, he just kind of takes his time and tries to lean on the guy. Mobley is decisive. Evan Mobley was catching the ball, and he's setting for half a second, and then he's backing up and he's pivoting. He doesn't have that. There are guys that can do the stick your ass in their gut and barrel them down. Joel Embiid can do that. Jokic can do that. Like there are guys
Mark
that can do
Jackson
that.
was so famous for doing that, they created a role for it.
Right, and that was obviously a very different era of basketball. Mobley just doesn't have that strength profile. Like it's something that he may add over time, and like he could kind of barrel guys a little bit more than he can now. But he was like, I'm a 7-footer who is agile, and if I'm posting up a guard, I'm just gonna like use that to my advantage and take the most like direct way to getting a clean shot. Like if you're gonna have him post up, which like analytically isn't like the most coherent way to play anymore, and has limitations and not something you want to do a ton of. But if when that happens and team switch and he gets a guard on him, he has to be able to punish those. That is like a thing that will like be one of the things that keeps him like if he's gonna hit his maximum potential. It is one of those things where it's like you need to be able to capitalize in those situations and maximize them. And like to me, the little stuff we've seen of that is really intriguing. And like you see it not just in the NBA, but like I was watching the Sky Sun game from the WNBA playoffs last night, and like Candace Parker is doing that. Candace Parker, one of the best players of all time in the WNBA, one of the best basketball players ever. Like it has that same thing. It's like she's not setting and just trying to back and just making it easy for the defender. She's like, I'm going to use my footwork. I'm going to use my skill. I'm going to use my length. And Mobley did like that is the template for being a successful player on the post in 2021. Evan Mobley doing some of that is like you truly love to see it.
He has a very mature skill set for somebody so young, and the potential for Evan Mobley just really, really excites me. Like I feel like I'm, my basketball genius is just staggering, but I've been high on Evan Mobley since I started watching his footage in high school. And then college, it became more interesting because you see a little bit more of that shooting touch. You see a lot more of that playmaking. Like that is something I agree with you. I hope the Cavs continue to encourage Evan Mobley to bring the ball up and kind of be an initiator in offensive sets, and also have him facilitate from the elbow, maybe facilitate in different spots on the floor. Like I think that is.
Do you remember that that little? It's the only time it's ever really worked was with Delly and Clarkson. Do you remember that little thing they would do where Delly brings up the ball, Clarkson would just back cut, and then like oftentimes just get an easy layup? You could do that with Evan Mobley bringing up the ball, and then Sexton on the right wing.
Yep.
Just he's gonna be faster than a lot of the guys defending.
Well,
he's gonna be more.
No, I agree. That's going to be really good. Like I thought if Larry Nance was still on the team, I thought of those two as that set too. Like Larry Nance is the back cut and Mobley just throws the quick lob past him or throws the ball to Larry in motion like that. Like Evan Mobley's skill set's just super interesting. Like I hate the term unicorn, but I think he is going to be a unique player. Like knock on wood, like because I thought Porzingis was going to be unique, and then injuries and then everything else with Porzingis just kind of sapped away my enthusiasm on him. But I as long as Mobley stays healthy, and again, knock on wood that he does, the Cavs really do have something interesting here, but it's a patience thing too. Like you have to bring him along a little slowly because it takes longer for bigs to adapt in the league. And again, he's 215 pounds. He's going to get, like, I don't know at the top of my head when Cleveland plays Philadelphia, but I think Joel Embiid and maybe even Andre Drummond a little bit are licking their chops to kind of bully Evan Mobley in the post. Abuse him because he's so thin.
Yeah.
Like those are two Goliath players. And like, I know Jackson Frank, friend of the pod, Jackson Frank is saying Andre Drummond's playing well for the Sixers, but like that's going to be a tough pull.
Fool me once. Shame on me. Fool me twice. Okay.
Listen, we are the Thinking Man's Pod. We told Lakers fans like, yo, you're not. This is like when the Lakers traded a first round pick for Ramon Sessions kind of situation. You're not getting like a really good player from the Cavs here.
Yeah. So here are the games I would kind of looking at the early season schedule. Here are some of the games that I think could be interesting. From how does Evan Mobley handle?
Denver's going to be tough too. That's early.
So Denver, October 25th. Like I the thing is like some of these like Allen is going to defend Jokic. Is the thing.
I think Denver is a smart team, and they're going to force switches with Mobley onto Jokic.
Well, there's a question on how much you do that early in the season. Like if it's the playoffs, like that's a whole different thing. In the regular season, like depending on like how much time you have to prepare, all that stuff. Some of that like matchup hunting stuff is like less common. But like in theory, Denver. I mean, he might be. I would be curious to see the Lakers on October 29th. Like. If
Anthony
they play
Davis,
too big,
Dwight Howard,
if it's AD and DeAndre, like does Mobley defend AD? Like, you know what I mean? Like that, like DeAndre Ayton, the next time Ayton's an absolute brute. Nurkic isn't like as good as some of these guys, but like as a strong player, will be playing in Cleveland on November 3rd.
He's got to handle
Like
Nance at points too, and Robert
yeah,
Robert Covington plays the 4 for the Blazers. Like that's gonna
yeah.
be
So we're gonna see Mobley do like a ton of different stuff, and that's I think one of the more fun parts about him. But Evan, we'll talk about him and what NBA general managers think about him after this break. But first, got to tell everyone about our friends at Built Bar. Built Bar has so many great flavors. They have caramel brownie, which I had this morning, cherry barcia, German chocolate, orange, strawberry, and many, many more. My favorite is right now probably got to be the cookie dough chunk. When they had them back in stock, I stocked up, and I'm not ashamed to say I have a bunch of them just waiting to me to pull out and eat them. Probably bring them and throw one at Evan next time I see him. Not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, but they're healthy too. That's why I'm throwing it at him. It's not a spiteful thing. It's to get him protein. 17 18 grams of protein, calories ranging from 130 to 180, only 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty and all healthy. Built Bar is also the official protein bar of the United States track and field team. Go to built.com and use promo code LOCKED15 and you'll get 15% off your order. Again, promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com.
Let me tell you about today's other sponsor, Bet Online. We're back and better than ever. All eyes are on the gridiron as teams are back on for another football season. As always, Bet Online is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. With a new updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, Bet Online continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head to their website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Do not forget to use our promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, do not wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Okay, so Evan.
What's up? That's my name.
Evan Mobley, general managers. The situation here. Cavs not totally featured on this. They're obviously not featured in sort of the power rankings of Eastern Conference. I think this was like a fun reading comparison to like the Cavs being George Costanza's discarded Glazer tier of Zach Lowe's rankings. Like they were in their own tier, sort of above the bottom 4, but not quite in the other thing. And there was a lot of confusing takes. Or did not confuse.
Darius Garland made the list. He has 77% of the league GM. So let me just do some math real quick here. So 2 GMs in this league think Darius Garland is going to have a breakout season, but continue.
Yeah. So but I'm saying like overall, this wasn't like a very Cavs.
One of them might be Kobe Altman. So
Kobe's like, Rich, I voted for your guy. So the Cavs weren't like a very like heavily discussed team in this. That was just one of the realities of it. Like, I mean, like if you're looking at rookie of the year voting according to GMs, Jalen Green, Cunningham, Suggs were the top 3, with Green and Cunningham being the overwhelming favorites. Davion Mitchell and Sengun from Houston received votes. But here's the one that was interesting for our purposes. Which rookie player will be the best player in 5 years? Evan Mobley won this at 33%. A third of GMs said this. Cade Cunningham was second at 30%. Jalen Green in Houston at 23%. Jalen Suggs, 4th, 10%. Davion Mitchell, 3%, 5th. And on we go. Evan, in terms of you thinking about Mobley and what you think of Mobley as a prospect, like what does this track with what you think? Does this mean anything to you? I guess like what kind of tracks for you?
What tracks for me is, I think Mobley, if you're patient with him and give him an area that is conducive and healthy for growth and let him just kind of play to his strengths, which I think JB Bickerstaff is the right coach to do that. The Cavs could kind of build something special here. Again, I think JB Bickerstaff right now is the right coach to do that. I'm not saying JB needs to be fired, but maybe in like 2-3 years time, you put a coach in place that'll really maximize like the offensive or defensive skill sets of Mobley. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But I'm still also really high on Cade Cunningham too. And I think with Cade getting 30% of the votes, which is roughly 9 or 10 of the GMs voted for Cade Cunningham as the best player in 5 years from this draft class. it's it's encouraging for sure. Like I can see it. Like I can see the vision as long as Mobley stays on the right path. I think we need to see. I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse. Like I feel pretty high on his prospects, but I also need to see a 10 to 15 game sample, then we come back and reevaluate it. Maybe this is another segment of ours as we come back to say, like, okay, let's look at Evan Mobley, like, and compare him to Cade and then Jalen Green as well, like just those three. Maybe we can include Jalen Suggs and Davian Mitchell to round up the top five. Because I think Davian Mitchell's going to be really, really good in Sacramento. Like, did you see the defense he played on Paul George the other night?
I did not, but I like the most fun thing I saw in summer league was like him just like
Eating the
getting
lunch of
into
people.
like he just like got up into Davion Mitchell's grill and was like, "I'm an adult. You're 19, and you're not gonna do crap against me." And that was fun.
Yeah, no, Davian Mitchell's going to be he's a player I'm going to kind of keep an ear note on and pay attention to. Like he's a player that made no sense for the Cavs, but like he intrigued the hell out of me, even though he's an older player. It's just the defense he plays, just good stuff. But Mobley's going to be really good. That's a hot take, I know, but I'm intrigued to see in 5 years' time what kind of conversation we're having because I also feel really high on Cade Cunningham too, and I think Cunningham is in a really good situation in Detroit. Like I think Dwayne Casey is a good coach for the situation to help build this team up a little bit, help them grow and develop. I think they have a really interesting stable of young players to play alongside him. Troy Weaver's a bit of a madman. I think having Jeremy Grant there is a good thing as well. Like this Detroit team could be a play-in/playoff team, maybe not this year, but next year. And then like they keep building and building. Like Detroit could be a force in a few years' time. I'm just intrigued what the Cavs are going to do with Evan Mobley too, because you have to see the environment around him too. So I feel confident in saying maybe right now, like I could see it, but let's put a pin in it and then maybe talk about this in 15 games and we have tangible like film and data that says like this is where Cunningham's at, this is where Mobley's at, this is where Jalen Green is at, this is where Jalen Suggs is at, and this is where Davion Mitchell's at. Like just kind of like gauge it. It'll be a fun, interesting thing. Like Ben Axelrod tracking the Patriots running backs versus the Browns running backs. Maybe we kind of keep quiet track of this and we check in every couple games.
Funny stuff. I also
But
just
now,
like I
Pearl Jam.
The thing I will also just remember about this, I think that I want to note. Evan Mobley is going to be a guy that is like it's going to just this whole process is just going to take time. I just sort of believe that like the Cavs could improve this year, be more feisty this year, be better than even we expect or whatever. Maybe Justin Rowan's wildest dreams come true, and he gets to do like a beer snake or something at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse for like a playing game. Who knows? Just saying. But
Justin's gonna crash into the podcast. He's gonna invite himself on again, like he usually does. Justin, you're always welcome, by the way. Thank you for listening. But I want to have a debate with Justin.
Yeah,
sure, we can do that. We can keep the restream login and stuff. He can just chop in whenever.
No, we'll give him like the invite link so he hops in and then we just see him pop up. But we're not gonna tell him when we're recording.
Keep on the backstage.
He can just like show up and like maybe he'll just like we'll hear him on like Locked On Big Ten.
Yeah, that'd be funny. But
like,
I would like to have an honest debate with Justin about why he thinks the Cavs are a play-in team, because I wonder how he feels about me, because I know Carter isn't a fan of my take that the Cavs haven't done a ton this offseason. They're banking on their internal development, and he also isn't. He thinks I'm misquoting him in saying that Lauri Markkanen was brought in to make Lamar Stevens better. No, Carter. Lauri Markkanen just makes non-shooters like Lamar Stevens' life a lot easier. Isaac Okoro too, but we're focusing on Evan Mobley. We're not giving free advertisement space to the official podcast of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, these next guests. Like this is just going to take time, and someone like Jalen Green or Cade Cunningham just has an easier transition to kind of finding their footing in the league by the virtue of just how the game is played and the ball in their hands and stuff. So Mobley's going to take some time, and I think that's okay. People just kind of have to remember that, and that's just always been a thing, I think. We should actually just end on this note, though. Lamar Stevens did play ahead of Jetty Osman in the preseason game. We didn't touch on that in this preseason segment. They played roughly the same minutes. JB went with 10 guys in the rotation instead of the 9 he played against Chicago.
We didn't touch on that. My bad.
So,
we talked about it before too. No, we were talking about I was like scrolling through the rotation.
But it's just that's worth noting. It's something to put in your logbook, and then we can come back to it, in 2 weeks, whatever, when we have a better gauge of what that rotation looks like. I mean, we're not far away from opening night, and then we can kind of see like, hey, what does this actually all kind of entail? So, Evan, you want to end it there? I don't have anything else to say here.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say either. It's just, it's good to have the Cavs back. I think the back-to-back was chaotic to cover. I'm intrigued to see where they're at. Justin, come on the show. Carter agreed we should have a 4-way pod again to preview the season together. So maybe that's when we have our debate there. But yeah, no, man. I think the Cavs are in a good place. I just think it's going to take time. If they got Cade Cunningham, the ceiling would be way higher on this squad. I think they'd be more of a legitimate play and playoff threat because of just how valuable Cade's skill set is. But Mobley is a long play, and in 5 years' time, if he is the best player from this draft class, maybe flirting with like top 10 player status, I wouldn't be surprised. Like that's how high I am on Evan Mobley's potential. Like you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like I don't think that's out of reason if like he follows a trajectory and like he does end up like an Anthony Davis like player.
Yeah. That's gonna be it. Been a lot of fun. Cavs season's coming. That long West Coast early season road trip is coming. We'll figure that out.
Locked on Cavs. Gonna get the old Keurig going.
We'll figure that one out. I don't even know what we're gonna do there, buddy. We'll figure that out when the time comes. Be in the moment. Everyone be well. I'll be back solo after the game Friday. I think they play. To do a solo 3-segment kind of just recap. So it's just going to be me. For watching on YouTube, you're going to get this ugly mug and this in my Tampa Bay Buccaneers helmet.
Here, let's give everyone a taste right now. It's going to be a lot of that. I don't think it's an ugly mug. That's a face Chris's mom loves.
Yeah. You did actually send the location of something the other day is my mom's house, and I did notice until like a day later, and I was like, Evan.
Oh, yeah. I was just like,
there.
I thought I doxed one. I was like, oh no, did I actually? I'm like panicking. No,
you don't know where you don't know where my parents live.
I mean, I could look up your parents' names on white pages and probably find it. That's how I learned your mom's. Well, actually, no. I learned Chris's mom's name because she liked something I posted on my professional Facebook account, and then I sent him a screenshot with the 2-eye emoji, and all I got back was an LOL.
Teddy's a Facebook user. I don't know what she did the other day. Anyway, that's going to be it. Everyone be well. Talk to you tomorrow after the game. Evan, enjoy your wedding. Enjoy the fine city of Milwaukee. And eat all the cheese curds. Eat all the cheese curds you can.
I don't want to be skinny. I want to be fat and happy on cheese curds. See ya when I'm back, everyone. Deuces.